A lot of people have asked me, what was it like that day? And what I think they're trying to ask me is, what was it like to be a part of history? And so I would tell them my story. I would tell them of all the signs of devastation there were that day. But there were also signs of hope. And during that extraordinary time in history, the moments of caring for one another were the differences between life and death. On September 11th, 2001, 8:46 a.m., Flight 11, hijacked by Al-Qaeda terrorists, crashed into the World Trade Center North Tower. 9:03 a.m., Flight 175 struck the World Trade South Tower. These terrorist attacks killed almost 3,000 people and forever changed the lives of so many Americans. However, it is through the memories of those who died, the realization that lives were forever changed, and the stories of those who were there and survived that we take the time to remember, so that none are forgotten. The Stairwell to Heaven by Earl C. Johnson. I arrived at work that day a good half hour earlier than usual. And it was a gorgeous day. Bright blue and sunny. Not long after getting into the office, I was standing with a couple of my team members, chatting about a presentation we had later in that day, when BOOM! There was a huge explosion, and a huge shaking and swaying of the building that literally lifted me off of my feet and caused me to fall into a nearby wall. The north side of the tower is about 15 feet away, and I could see through the narrow vertical windows. That there's this type of debris raining down outside. So I went to my coworker and said, "Get away from the window! We have to get out of here!" And so we slammed right into the crash bar and took off running south out the office back door and into a nearby stairwell immediately to our left. We ran down about 8 to 7 floors, but we soon ran into the back end of the line of all the other smart people who had the same idea. Get in the stairwell and get down. We did not move literally another step at that point for a good 15 minutes, and with each passing minute, I began to sense in my own body the amount of energy I was expending trying to tell myself to stay calm. And then it was at that moment when I realized the goodness of what happened that day inside that stairwell. I mean, people helped each other. Whether they were more physically challenged at navigating the situation or from an emotional standpoint, simply needing reassurance, somebody reached out a hand and gave that to them. I mean, complete strangers. Whether it was just giving someone a hug or giving someone an arm to lean on, or in my case, I wound up holding a woman's hand for the better part of the entire way down. It was the extensions of kindness as the natural reaction of people in this situation that stands so starkly in my mind. I mean, an environment of physical confinement and overcrowding and palpable anxiety and fear. the best in all of us presented itself. As the line began to move again, the next real event was the second plane hitting the South Tower. I mean, as separated as those buildings were, the concussion and shockwave of the impact rattled through our little space, and I could see people's fear rise to a new level. It was another unknown, a very loud and disturbing movement of this building that I knew shouldn't be occurring in something this large. At some point, I think we're in the upper mid 30s, when someone on a landing below me opened the door from the stairwell to that floor, which had 50 or 60 people in it when I entered it. But as I walked about 15 feet away from the door, my body had a physical reaction. My legs locked up, and I stepped out of line to gain my balance, and I looked at my coworkers and said, "We have to get out of here." And so we made our way back into the stairwell and joined up with the rest of the line who had continued in front of us. I don't have any evidence to support this, but it is my belief that not everyone who decided to stop on that floor that day made it out alive. At some point, I started to hear noises, but it was just fading in and out. But as I got down another flight of stairs, the clapping, it just kept getting louder and louder. And then I see him. It's a New York City firefighter. He's turning on that landing below, and he's marching up those steps in my row telling me, "It's gonna be okay, you're gonna get out, and keep calm." And after I saw the first one, they kept calming. Now imagine these first responders rolled up to those buildings, got out, saw what people were seeing on TV, and yet came in to do their job. I mean, where do we get men and women like that to do this kind of job? The self-sacrifice and mentality of these people just boggles my mind. As we approach the bottom, you can smell that we're gonna get out of here. And so we made our way around the shopping area and into the other side of the complex, where we hiked up an escalator and stepped out into that bright sunshine and clear blue sky. I mean, it was only after stepping a few feet from the building overhang that I could actually now turn around and look up and see what the rest of the world had been watching on TV. And it was the most surreal, unbelievable sight my eyes will ever see. I mean, the smoke and debris pouring forth from those buildings, the thousands of people milling about, looking lost and in shock, and the poor souls whose only choice was to jump to their death or be consumed by the flames, and all of that imagery. It weighed heavily on my heart. So, have I forgotten. No, I I have not. Have you?